Hi everyone, meteorologist Joe Chaffee, SNS Storm Chasers, meteorologist joechaffee.com, weatherlongisland.com, and you could also download my weather app. So you're constantly connected to all the latest developments. There are two things going on today that we want to point out. And I want to emphasize the fact that the risk of severe weather and the actual occurrence of severe weather are two different things. When we look at the atmosphere, we can say, okay, conditions seem ripe for the possibility of some severe thunderstorms to develop. Now, how they develop and where they actually develop, or in some instances, if they even develop at all, is a whole nother question. And models, weather models, are not particularly useful from that regard. So we're just going to assess the risk here, and there's a large area that the Storm Prediction Center has indicated to be at a slight risk for severe thunderstorms, and it has expanded this since yesterday, covering all of Pennsylvania, the extreme northern Maryland and Delaware, most of New Jersey, definitely all of New Jersey north of Route 195, and maybe a little bit south of there. It looks like the Route 1 corridor perhaps at play going north. All of Long Island, all of the western half of Long Island, but the eastern part under a marginal risk. And then we have also most of eastern New York, including the Hudson Valley and New York City, most of all of southern New England, including Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, southern Vermont, and New Hampshire. We also want to show you that the Storm Prediction Center, and this doesn't do this too often, but we're seeing they're indicating a 5% risk of a tornado in the middle and upper Hudson Valley, and in the northwestern Connecticut, western Massachusetts, and southern Vermont and New Hampshire. So, and then a 2% chance to the south. So a lot's going to depend on how this warm sector develops. And when we look at the models today, I mean, the NAM really has a few cells that develop, but it really doesn't do too much with this weather front that moves on through. And when we look at, that's the 4-kilometer NAM. When we look at the larger scale 12-kilometer NAM, it doesn't really do too much with that either. Just has a couple of areas going by. But again, models can be particularly useless at this point. So we really are just going to have to watch how it develops on the radar. It seems that everything's in place. The atmosphere is very much destabilized, and that we could see some action here later this afternoon and this evening. Now, the other issue I want to point out is in the tropics, and we're going to jump off to satellite loop here, which shows that the the tropical wave southwest of the Cape Verde Islands that's moving westward is becoming better organized. It looks like there's a weak core circulation that's trying to develop, and the Hurricane Center says there's an 80% probability that this could become a tropical storm in the next 5 days and a 70% probability in the next 2 days. Now, when we look at what's going on in the tropical Atlantic, you can follow it along on the GFS. It actually takes it northwestward and then kind of lifts it northwestward from there, meanders it a little bit. When we look at the upper air with regards to this, what's happening is that there is a ridge in the Atlantic, and you can see it here. Here's our Bermuda high that's set up now. That ridge is going to break down to some degree over the next 4 days. You have troughing that occurs near 60 west, and you have a deep trough in the western Great Lakes. So a hole opens up. So that's why that weather system is likely to move northward for at least a little while. Eventually, that ridge builds back. So what it does in the long range remains to be seen. But bottom line is that I think we see the possibility of this at least becoming a tropical depression, maybe even a tropical storm before it's all said and done. So watch out for severe weather this afternoon. We'll keep our eyes on the tropics. And don't forget SNS Storm Chasers and meteorologist joechaffee.com and weatherlongisland.com for all your weather needs.